She wanted David. What Favor didn't know was that wanting something and getting it are two very different things. And what she definitely didn't know was that her obsession would lead to consequences she never imagined. Consequences that would destroy not just her friendship with Jessica, but her entire life. If the devil had a playbook, Favor was reading from it page by page. After that first encounter at the boutique, she became a regular presence in Jessica and David's life, but not in the innocent way she used to be. That dinner they had together was just the beginning. Favor made sure to order the most central food, lobster, that she ate slowly, licking her fingers deliberately. She laughed at all of David's jokes, touched his arm when she talked, and kept crossing and uncrossing her legs under the table. Jessica noticed nothing. She was just happy to have her best friend back. But David noticed everything. And though he tried to ignore it, tried to focus on his wife, Favor's new body and bold behavior had planted a seed in his mind, a dangerous seed. Over the next few weeks, Favor started showing up everywhere. She would randomly be at the same restaurant where David was having business meetings. She would coincidentally need a ride from Lekki just when David was driving past. She would visit the boutique almost every day, always wearing tight clothes that left little to the imagination. Favor, you practically live here now, Jessica joked one day. Not that I'm complaining. I love having you around. Well, I miss my best friend, Favor replied with a sweet smile. And besides, I'm thinking of starting my own business. I'm learning from the best. But learning business wasn't what Favor was there for. She was studying David, his patterns, his schedule, his weaknesses. She noticed that David usually came to the boutique around 6 p.m. to pick up Jessica. She noticed that he always checked out women with curvy figures when he thought no one was looking. She noticed that lately, he had been getting into small arguments with Jessica about money. Jessica wanted to expand the boutique, but David thought it was too soon. Favor filed away all this information, planning how to use it. One evening, Favor executed the next phase of her plan. She called Jessica around 5:30 p.m., knowing David would soon be on his way to pick her up. "Babe, please, I need a huge favor," Favor said, her voice distressed. "My landlord just came to my house saying I need to pay my rent by tomorrow, or he will lock me out. I'm at the boutique now, but I left my ATM card at home in Iyana Ipaja. Can you please lend me 200,000 naira? I'll pay you back as soon as I get home." Jessica didn't hesitate. "Of course, babe, but I don't have that much cash in the shop. Let me call David to bring it when he comes to pick me up." "Thank you so much," Favor said, smiling wickedly. Everything was going according to plan. David arrived at 6 p.m. with the money. But what he didn't know was that Jessica had received an emergency call from one of her suppliers just before he got there. "Babe, I'm so sorry," Jessica said frantically. "That fabric supplier in Idumota said, if I don't come pick up my order today, they'll sell it to someone else. I've already paid for it. Can you please give Favor the money while I run to Idumota? It's urgent." David looked at Favor, who gave him an innocent smile. "I can go with you to Idumota," he offered to Jessica, trying to avoid being alone with Favor. No, there's terrible traffic that way, and you have that conference call at 7 p.m., remember? Just give Favor the money, and she can drop it at her landlord's place. Thank you for bringing the money." David handed her the envelope. "No problem, Jessica will do anything for you." "Would you?" Favor asked, looking directly into his eyes. "Do anything for me?" "Favor, what are you doing?" David asked, his voice low and warning. "What do you mean?" she asked innocently, moving closer to him. "I'm just asking a question. You've been acting strange lately. The way you dress, the way you look at me, the way you... This isn't you." Favor laughed, a bitter, twisted laugh. "You don't even know me, David. You've never really looked at me before. I was always just Jessica's friend, the sidekick, the shadow." "That's not true." "It is true," Favor interrupted, her voice rising. You know what? I was there first. I was in that faculty building before Jessica on our first day. If you had given that career talk a few minutes earlier, you would have seen me first. Emmy, and this would have been my life. David stared at her in shock. Favor, are you hearing yourself? That's not how life works. I got this body for you. Favor suddenly blurted out, tears streaming down her face. The surgery, the pain, everything. I did it because I wanted you to see me. Really see me. The way you saw Jessica that day in the blue dress. David's eyes widened in horror. Surgery? Favor, you did surgery to get my attention? Yes, she sobbed, moving even closer. Because I love you, David. I've loved you since the day Jessica introduced us. I've loved you through your entire relationship, through your wedding, through everything. And I know you feel something for me too. I see the way you look at me now. Favor, stop, David said firmly, stepping back. I love my wife. Jessica is everything to me. Whatever you think you saw. Liar! Favor screamed. I see you, David. When I walk into a room, your eyes follow me. When I touch your arm, you don't pull away immediately. When I laugh at your jokes, you smile wider. You're attracted to me. Even if I were, which I'm not saying I am, I would never betray Jessica. Never. She's my wife, and you're supposed to be her best friend. Favor wiped her tears, and suddenly her expression changed. The vulnerability disappeared, replaced by something cold and calculated. Then I guess I'll have to try harder, she said quietly. What? Nothing, Favor said, picking up the envelope of money. Thank you for the loan. Tell Jessica I said good night. But here's the twisted part. Favor had been recording the entire conversation on her phone, which was in her purse. She had the recording of David saying, even if I were attracted to you, and with the right editing, she could make it sound much worse than it was. That night, Favor went home and listened to the recording over and over. Her original plan had been to seduce David slowly, make him fall for her, and then somehow break up his marriage with Jessica. But David had more integrity than she expected. So she needed a new plan, a darker plan. She spent hours editing the audio recording, cutting out parts, rearranging sentences, until she had something that sounded like David admitting he was attracted to her and wanted to be with her. But she wasn't ready to use it yet. That was her nuclear option for later. The next day, Favor went to visit Jessica at home in Lekki. She had never been to the house when David wasn't there, but Jessica had given her the gate code months ago. Surprise! Favor said when Jessica opened the door. Favor! What a pleasant surprise. Come in, come in. The house was even more beautiful on the inside. Expensive furniture, a big TV, marble floors, chandeliers, everything screaming wealth and luxury. Favor felt that familiar jealousy rising in her chest. Your house is so beautiful, Favor said, looking around. Thank you, babe. David has good taste. Can I get you something to drink? Water is fine. They sat in the living room, chatting about random things, when Favor suddenly said, Jessica, can I ask you something personal? Of course, we're best friends. You can ask me anything. How's your marriage? Like really? Is everything okay between you and David? Jessica looked surprised by the question. Why would you ask that? I don't know. I just sense some tension sometimes when I'm around you guys. Like, he seems stressed, you seem stressed. I just want to make sure my best friend is happy. Jessica sighed. Honestly, things have been a bit strained lately. We've been arguing about money, about the business expansion, about me spending too much time at the boutique. He says I'm never home, and I say he doesn't support my dreams enough. It's not serious though. Every marriage has its rough patches. Favor's eyes lit up. This was exactly what she needed to hear. Cracks in the marriage. Have you guys considered taking a break, going on a vacation to reconnect? Favor asked, pretending to be concerned. We've been too busy. David has his businesses, I have mine. We barely have time for each other anymore. That's sad, Favor said, placing her hand on Jessica's. You know what? I think you need a girls' night out. Just you and me, like old times. Let's go out this Friday. Drink, dance, forget about all the stress. What do you say? Jessica smiled. You know what? That sounds perfect. I need that. Favor smiled back, but her mind was calculating. Girls' night out meant getting Jessica drunk. Getting Jessica drunk meant getting information about her marriage problems. Information meant power. Power meant she could manipulate the situation. Friday night came, and Favor picked Jessica up in an Uber. She had chosen a club in Victoria Island. Loud, crowded, the kind of place where anything could happen. They started with cocktails, then moved to shots. Favor made sure Jessica drank way more than she did. She would order 2 shots, give Jessica the stronger one, and barely sip hers. By midnight, Jessica was drunk. Really drunk. I love you, Favor, Jessica slurred, hugging her friend. You're the best friend anyone could ask for. I love you too, babe, Favor lied smoothly. Hey, let's take some pictures. She took out her phone and started taking pictures. Innocent ones at first, but then she started encouraging Jessica to pose more provocatively. Jessica, in her drunk state, didn't think anything was wrong. She posed, laughed, and danced. Favor made sure to capture every moment on video. Jessica dancing wildly, Jessica stumbling, Jessica saying things she probably wouldn't say when sober. Sometimes I feel like David doesn't even see me anymore, Jessica shouted over the music. Like I'm just there, you know. We barely even, anymore. Barely what? Favor asked, recording everything on her phone. Intimate. We're barely intimate anymore. He's always tired. I'm always tired. It's like we're just roommates. Favor's smile grew wider. This was gold. At around 2 a.m., a guy approached Jessica and asked her to dance. In her drunk state, Jessica said yes. The guy was dancing too close, touching her waist, and Jessica didn't seem to notice or care. Favor pulled out her phone and recorded it. The angle made it look much worse than it was. It looked like Jessica was grinding on a stranger in a club, while her husband was at home. Perfect, Favor whispered to herself. When Jessica finally realized what she was doing, she pushed the guy away. Sorry, I'm married, she said, showing her ring. I shouldn't be doing this. But Favor had already captured the evidence. The next morning, Jessica woke up at Favor's house. Favor had convinced her it was too late to go home, with a terrible hangover and barely any memory of the night before. What happened last night? Jessica groaned, holding her head. You had a lot to drink, Favor said, bringing her painkillers and water. But you had fun. We danced, talked, caught up like old times. Did I do anything stupid? Favor smiled sweetly. Of course not, babe. You were just having fun. Don't worry about it. But Favor was worrying about it. She was worrying about it a lot, because she now had videos and photos of Jessica that could be used to paint a very different picture of what happened that night. Over the next few weeks, Favor continued her twisted game. She would show up at Jessica's house when she knew David was home alone. Oh, I thought Jessica would be here, she would lie. But since I'm here, can I use your bathroom? She would accidentally brush against David when walking past. She would wear perfume that smelled expensive and seductive. She would find excuses to bend over in front of him, showing off her body. David tried to maintain his distance, tried to be loyal to his wife. But Favor was relentless. She was like water eroding rock, constant, persistent, never stopping. And then came the day everything changed. It was a Tuesday afternoon. Jessica had traveled to Abuja for a 2-day business trip to meet with some suppliers. David was home alone, working from his home office. Favor showed up at the house, claiming she had left her phone charger there the last time she visited. David, not wanting to be rude, let her in. I'll just get the charger and go, Favor said. But she didn't just get the charger. She went upstairs to the guest room where she claimed she left it and then called David on his phone. David, please, I need help. I think I saw a snake in the room. Please come. David rushed upstairs, worried. But when he got to the guest room, there was no snake. There was just Favor, standing there in a way that made her intentions crystal clear. Favor, what are you? She kissed him. For a split second, just one terrible second, David didn't push her away. His body responded before his mind could catch up. But then reality hit him like a slap, and he shoved her back hard. What the hell is wrong with you? He shouted. Favor's eyes filled with tears, but they weren't tears of regret. They were tears of frustration. I love you, she screamed. Why can't you see that? I can make you happier than Jessica ever could. You need help, Favor. Professional help. This obsession. It's not obsession, it's love. It's madness, David yelled. And I'm telling Jessica everything. This ends now. Favor's expression changed instantly. The tears stopped. Her face became cold, almost scary. Tell Jessica, she said quietly. Go ahead. Tell her how you let me kiss you. Tell her how your body responded before you pushed me away. Tell her how you've been looking at me for weeks. Let's see who she believes. She'll believe me because I'm her husband. Will she though? Favor pulled out her phone. Because I have videos of her drunk at the club, dancing with strange men. I have recordings of her complaining about your marriage. I have photos that would make any husband suspicious. David's blood ran cold. You wouldn't. Try me, Favor said with a wicked smile. You tell Jessica about today, and I'll destroy your marriage with these. I'll send them to your family, her family, social media, everywhere. I'll make sure everyone knows that perfect Jessica is not so perfect after all. This is blackmail. This is love, Favor shouted. And if I can't have you, I'll make sure you both suffer. David stared at her, finally seeing his wife's best friend for who she truly was, a monster wearing a familiar face. Get out, he said quietly. Get out of my house. I'll leave, Favor said, walking toward the door. But this isn't over, David. Not even close. After she left, David sat on the floor of the guest room, his head in his hands. He had to tell Jessica. He had to. But how could he explain this without it destroying everything? What David didn't know was that Favor had planned even that kiss carefully. And she had captured everything. The kiss, David's momentary hesitation before pushing her away, everything. Edited correctly, that video could look like David had kissed her back, like he had wanted it. Favor went home that evening and watched the video over and over again, a sick smile on her face. If I can't have him, she whispered to the screen, then Jessica can't either. I'll destroy them both. But what Favor didn't realize was that her obsession had made her sloppy, reckless. She had made mistakes, left traces, and someone had been watching her carefully, noticing her strange behavior, documenting everything. That someone was Jessica's younger brother, Tunde, who had come to visit from Ibadan and had been staying at Jessica's house for the past week. He had seen Favor's visits, noticed her inappropriate behavior around David, and being the protective brother he was, he had started investigating. The trap was slowly closing around Favor, but she was too blinded by obsession to see it. And that's when things got really dark. If Karma were a person, she would be standing at Favor's door with a sledgehammer, ready to demolish everything. But Favor couldn't see it coming. She was too drunk on her own delusions, too high on her twisted schemes to notice that her world was about to collapse. Tunde was not like his sister Jessica, sweet, trusting, and always seeing the best in people. No, Tunde was sharp, observant, and protective of his family to a fault. At 26 years old, he worked as a private investigator in Ibadan, so spotting suspicious behavior was literally his job. From the moment he arrived at Jessica's house and saw how Favor interacted with David, alarm bells went off in his head. The way she touched David's arm too long, the way she looked at him when Jessica wasn't watching, the way she always found excuses to be around, it all screamed trouble. Jessica, how long has Favor been acting like this around David? Tunde had asked his sister casually one evening. Acting like what? Jessica replied, genuinely confused. You know, touchy, flirty. Jessica laughed. Favor? No way. She's my best friend. She's just naturally friendly. You're reading too much into it, Tunde. But Tunde wasn't convinced, so he started watching, documenting, recording. He installed a small security camera in the living room without telling anyone, something he had learned from his job. He wanted to protect his sister, and his instincts were screaming that Favor was dangerous. The day Favor came to the house when Jessica was in Abuja, Tunde had been there. He had arrived that morning to drop off some documents for Jessica, and David told him he could stay and work from the guest room downstairs since he had some reports to finish. When Favor showed up claiming to look for her charger, Tunde's suspicions went into overdrive. He quietly followed her upstairs and stood outside the guest room door, recording everything on his phone. He heard the fake scream about the snake. He heard David rush upstairs. He heard the struggle, the shouting, and most importantly, the blackmail. Tunde stood there, his blood boiling, his hands shaking with anger. But he didn't burst into the room, no. He was smarter than that. He let Favor leave, let her think she had won, while he had everything he needed to expose her. After Favor left, Tunde went to find David, who was still sitting in the guest room, looking destroyed. David, Tunde said quietly from the doorway. David looked up, his face pale. Tunde, I didn't know you were here. I heard everything, Tunde said, holding up his phone, and I recorded everything. David's eyes widened. You did? That woman is dangerous, Tunde said, his voice hard. She's obsessed with you, and she's planning to destroy my sister's marriage. But we're not going to let that happen. I need to tell Jessica. Jessica returned from Abuja, happy and excited about the new deal she had made. She noticed nothing wrong because David and Tunde made sure everything seemed normal. Babe, you seem more cheerful, Jessica said to David one evening. I'm glad. I was worried we were drifting apart. David hugged his wife tight, feeling guilty for keeping secrets but knowing it was necessary. I love you, he whispered, more than you ever know. I love you too, Jessica replied, snuggling into his arms. Tunde, watching from across the room, felt satisfied. His sister's marriage would survive this. But Favor was going to pay for every evil thing she had planned. The trap was set for a Saturday evening. David sent Favor a text message. Jessica is going to visit her mother in Ibadan this weekend. We need to talk. Come to the house on Saturday at 7 p.m. Favor's heart raced when she read the message. This was it. This was what she had been waiting for. David was finally ready to admit his feelings, ready to leave Jessica, ready to choose her. She spent the entire week planning her outfit, rehearsing what she would say, imagining how it would feel to finally have David to herself. On Saturday morning, Jessica did indeed travel to Ibadan, but not to visit her mother. She went to stay at a hotel as per Tunde's plan. Tunde had explained everything to her the night before, showing her all the evidence he had gathered. Jessica's reaction was something Tunde would never forget. First came shock. Her best friend had done surgery to seduce her husband. Then came denial. No, not Favor. There must be a mistake. Then came the videos, the audio recordings, the text messages, the proof that was so overwhelming she couldn't deny it anymore. Jessica had cried for hours in her brother's arms. How could she? She kept asking. We were like sisters. I trusted her with everything. How could she do this to me? Some people are consumed by jealousy, Tunde said quietly, and jealousy turns people into monsters. Now, as Jessica sat in that hotel room in Ibadan, her heart was broken, but her resolve was strong. Favor had to face consequences, real consequences. Saturday evening arrived. Favor dressed in her most beautiful outfit, a tight black dress that showed off every curve of her surgically enhanced body. She did her makeup perfectly, sprayed on expensive perfume, and took an Uber to Lekki. When she arrived at the house and the gate opened, her hands were trembling with excitement. She walked to the door and knocked. David opened it, his face expressionless. "Come in." Favor walked in, her heels clicking on the marble floor. "Where's Jessica?" she asked, looking around. "She's traveling, like I said. We're alone." "Good," Favor poured, moving closer to him. "We have a lot to talk about." "Yes, we do," David said. "But not here. Let's go to the living room." Favor followed him, her heart pounding. But when she entered the living room, her smile froze on her face. Sitting there were not just David and Tunde, but also Jessica, who had rushed back. Jessica's parents, Favor's mother, whom Tunde had called from the village, a lawyer, and two police officers. What is this?" Favor stammered, her face going pale. "Sit down, Favor," Jessica said coldly. It was the first time Favor had ever heard that tone from her friend. "Jessica, you're supposed to be in Ibadan." "Sit down," Jessica shouted, and Favor flinched. Favor looked around the room desperately. Everyone was looking at her with disgust. David, Jessica's parents, the police officers. But the worst was Jessica. Her former best friend was looking at her like she was a stranger, like she was something disgusting on the bottom of her shoe. "Jessica, please," Favor begged, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me. I was jealous. I was stupid. Please, you're my best friend." "Best friend?" Jessica exploded, standing up. "You were never my friend. Friends don't do what you did. You know what hurts the most? It's not even that you wanted my husband. It's that you planned it. You calculated it. You went under the knife, risked your life in surgery, spent all your money, all to destroy my marriage. I was jealous." Favor sobbed. "You had everything. The perfect life, the perfect husband, the perfect business. What did I have? Nothing. I was just your shadow. So my success gave you the right to try to destroy me?" Jessica asked, her voice breaking. "I loved you, Favor. You were my sister. When your father died, whose shoulder did you cry on? Mine. When you needed money for school, who helped you? Me. When you had nowhere to celebrate Christmas, whose house did you come to? Mine. And this is how you repay me?" Favor couldn't speak. She just cried, her makeup running down her face, her perfectly styled hair now a mess. Jessica's mother, a dignified woman who had always treated Favor like a daughter, spoke quietly. "I remember when you girls were in school. Favor, I treated you like my own child. I cooked for you, prayed for you, gave you money when you needed it. How could you do this to my daughter?" The shame was crushing. Favor felt like she was drowning in it. Jealousy is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Her mother, who had been so disappointed in her. "Favor, let me tell you something. When you were born, I prayed that God would bless you with a good heart. I didn't pray for beauty or wealth. I prayed for a good heart, because a good heart attracts good things. But somewhere, you lost your way. You let jealousy corrupt your heart, and it destroyed you." "Mama, I know," Favor said, tears running down her face. "I lost everything because I wanted what wasn't mine. The lesson, my daughter, is this. Be grateful for what you have and work hard for what you want. But never, ever try to take what belongs to someone else. God sees everything, and he will judge accordingly." Favor nodded, finally understanding what she had been too blind to see before. Jessica and David's marriage was stronger than ever. The ordeal with Favor had actually brought them closer together. They went for couples therapy to process what had happened, and it helped them communicate better, appreciate each other more, and protect their relationship from external threats. I learned something from all of this. Jessica told David one evening as they sat by their pool. I learned that not everyone who smiles with you is happy for you. Some people are just studying you, waiting for an opportunity to take what's yours. And I learned, David replied, holding her hand, that loyalty isn't just about not cheating. It's about protecting your marriage from anyone who tries to destroy it. I should have told you about Favor's behavior earlier. We both learned, Jessica said, and will be smarter going forward. If there's anything to learn from this story, let it be this. Jealousy is a self-destructive poison. Favor didn't hurt Jessica as much as she hurt herself. She spent her life savings, went through painful surgery, destroyed her reputation, lost her best friend, and had to leave Lagos, all because of jealousy. In the end, Jessica's life remained blessed, while Favor's life was ruined. Comparison is the thief of joy. Instead of celebrating her friend's success and working on her own path, Favor constantly compared her life to Jessica's. This comparison bred resentment and eventually destroyed her. Remember, your blessings are coming in God's perfect timing. Don't destroy yourself trying to take what belongs to someone else. Work on yourself, celebrate others genuinely, and watch how your own life begins to flourish. Jealousy kills, but gratitude heals. Choose wisely. If this story touched your heart, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories about love, family, and life lessons. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest uploads. Thank you for watching.